I just got a question in, and I actually get this a lot. The question just asked, how important really is emotional repression work on a spiritual path? And then the person went on to say that they didn't think that they had emotional repression, that they repressed emotion. Here's the thing. Of course you wouldn't think so. There's no way that you would know it. You may have some inkling about it, like you may have a hunch, but repression literally is repressed material. So you don't even know. And it's interesting to be in this work and working with people because they often come that way and they say, I don't think I'm repressing emotions. That's exactly what I said 6, 7 years ago. I don't think I'm repressing emotions. And then come to find out after taking the litmus test, I've done a test here on YouTube. Just go look for, are you repressing emotion? Take this test or take this litmus test on my YouTube channel. And when I give that to people, that test, almost inevitably, everyone finds that they're repressing something. Some people find that they're repressing a lot. And that's always a moment like a come to Jesus moment for people. Because it's like their eyes get really big or they're shocked. It's like, wow, I didn't know. But then all the insights start coming after that. Like, oh, that explains why my relationship with dad was like that. That explains why I can't set boundaries in my relationship. It explains why I can't resolve disputes in relationship because I'm not being authentic. It explains, I mean, to me, now that I've seen how repression works in people's lives, it's a big part of the path. I think that at least we don't know it. We're not aware of it. But look, if you have a mechanism that represses an emotion because it's uncomfortable or too scary or too painful, that emotion just doesn't slip away. It's held somewhere in the body. And this is science. And science says we hold it in chronic pain areas, but I would say we also hold it in areas where our body's contracted, like heart, stomach. How much of your spiritual path is being driven by the body that's very contracted and tight? How many satsangs or meetings or retreats have you gone to where you experience the clarity of awareness, just resting in that silence, but the body is still tied up like that? It's a huge thing on the path. And I think that we're going to discover that in the next few years. I don't know because science is studying it. So it's not being pushed off into the corner or the closet as much. It's a subject that's being given credibility now by science. But it isn't being given credibility really by spirituality. Still, teachings and methods haven't caught on to it. And I think that's because one reason, it's repressed. That's why. It's not some conspiracy among spiritual teachings to ignore something. It's literally repressed. So you don't even know it's there. You don't know the mechanism is happening until you discover it. And you have to like get into the unconscious, pull up the unconscious mind, and that's not easy. And that doesn't happen on a meditation mat. You're just sitting around meditating. Don't expect for your anger repression, the real story of it to arise, because I never hear that. I have not really heard that from anyone. That they came to be aware of the full onslaught of their repression through meditation. It doesn't happen. Also doesn't happen with a lot of forms of inquiry. Certainly doesn't happen by resting as awareness, because it's all repressed. And I just mark my words, I'm willing to be wrong about this. But within a few years, we're going to have a better sense of how emotional repression is impacting our lives, our relationship, our health. We already are starting to get those cues from science, that information. But I mean, each of us is really going to see it. Like, it won't be theoretical. In a number of years, it will have methods like KI that will really show it to us. And then we'll have the insight of like, this was impacting my search. Like, a lot of my searching was to try to get away from something like that was uncomfortable. But we don't know it. That's the thing. You don't know it until you know it. You can't see until you see. I've always felt that about this work. Like, if you can't see it, you can't see it. I didn't either. But now we have ways of testing that out so you can see it. So if you become interested, that's the work that we're doing, among other things, in the Kilby members area. Every day, for now, I'm meeting with people every day in a meeting, and I'm working with them on their inquiry, somatic inquiry, awakening process, embodiment, and repression. So this is a topic that we are not ignoring here in KI. It's very much to the surface because we know now that it plays such a big impact on in everything, relationships, everything, work. Because if you can't be authentic, you often submit in relationships, submit at work, you go along with, you acquiesce, you subvert your true desires, you don't set boundaries, yeah, that kind of thing is happening in a lot of different areas. If you have repression. The opposite of repression is not expression, it's freedom.